Hold up.
Every day I wake up, wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Loren LoRosa is here as well. We got a special guest in the building.
Our guy.
He's locking up all you rappers. No, I'm just joking. It's our guy, ladies and gentlemen. Vlad TV, DJ Vlad. What's up, Vlad?
What's up, y'all? Glad to be back. Glad to be back. I've been doing this, for like a decade now?
Oh, longer than that.
Longer than that, yeah. Absolutely. We go back.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
It is funny, though, because the allegations of Vlad being a fed seem to increase every single time somebody gets locked up from the hip-hop community.
Just is what it is, man. It just is what it is at this point.
Why do you even like address it at this point? Like when people get locked up, you come out and still like have the conversation or entertain the conversation.
I mean, why not? Why not? Because it's not true. It's not true. When you talk to the actual rappers who have gotten arrested, they'll say in interviews, Vlad had nothing to do with it. This interview had nothing to do with my case. You can go through the transcripts. Every so often there's like a fake story. Like I remember at one point, like there was this fake story that circulated and a bunch of celebrities like Questlove were retweeting it. It was like, judge thanks DJ Vlad for helping to convict ARAB. And had like this white judge had nothing to do with the real judge and so forth. And it was from a website no one's ever heard of, wasn't a real website, but people were retweeting it and so forth. It's like you just gotta deal with it. It is what it is. But you know, like when I came into the game, like I wanted to ask the tough questions. I wanted to be the 60 Minutes of hip hop. I always felt like at that time that hip hop media was really softball and they wouldn't ask the real tough questions. And I came in like, yo, I'm gonna change. You know, I'm going to change this and I'm going to be different. And that's what I've stuck on this whole time.
I also don't understand if somebody sits down with you.
That's what I was going to say.
And agrees to sit down with Vlad TV in front of a camera and answer questions. Why is it your fault? why is it your fault?
They can say no comment. They can say I'm not answering that. They can say it's a case going. They can say so many different things.
Yeah. And I'm also very, very careful with people. Like I've turned down interviews when they're open cases.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, like for example, like Draco the Ruler, when he was facing his murder case, his manager was like, yo, he wants to do an interview, he wants to tell a side. And I'm like, you got an open murder case right now. And, you know, once you beat it, like you can come and we'll talk about it, which is exactly what we did. Once he beat it, we did a whole interview. Same thing with Taxstone. When he was going through his case, he wanted to do an interview. And I'm like, yo, you're my friend. And I don't want this interview to be used against you in this case. So I just have to turn you down. I mean, ultimately, he ended up losing anyways, but I didn't want to contribute to that. And I'm like, even if you hate me after this, like, I just don't want to do this.
I get it.
So I'm very, very careful about it.
But what happens
you also worked in music as well, too, right? Like, before all of this.
I was a DJ.
You was a DJ?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Vlad ain't touched turntables in years now, but Vlad
I have. You're right.
Vlad used to be popping with the mixtape.
That's true. Like I won mixtape of the year. I won mashup of the year. Like I've won, you know, Justo's mixtape awards. You know, which you're a part of as well. You know, you've won your awards. When I was part of that, I felt like I was like one of the top guys during that era. But then when Vlad TV came around, I had to shift and kind of focus on a long-term career because being a mixtape DJ and being a DJ in general is just a tough job, as you know. As you know, and I felt like as I was getting older, I got to like think ahead 10, 20 years to see what I'm going to do in my life.
I want to ask, with with the whole Big U, Rolling 60s, they threw your name in it 1,010%. A little bit.
They blamed you. They said because of their interviews on your channel is the reason why the whole indictment and all the things happened.
I've never heard that. I did one interview with Big U like 3-4 years ago, which I don't think has anything to do with that case. Me and Big U, you know, maintain a relationship and a friendship. We talk a couple times a year. I was really shocked and hurt when I heard that happened. I've never heard of my name connected to any of that.
Yeah, who said where that came from?
Yeah.
There's headlines all over. Actually, you commented back on some of them. You defended it. You did a sit down with TMZ. DJ Vlad speaks on Big U arrest. Interviews don't indict, but crimes do. So, I mean, I think
they asked me about it in general, but not because I was connected to it in any way. Look through the whole paperwork. My name is not in the paperwork at all.
No, I don't.
At all.
I don't think it's a because even when you're, because I know because working at TMZ, when TMZ used to come up in documents, it just comes up because they go find whatever they can. Yeah. I don't think people think you're well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say I don't think people think you're actually working with the feds, like you're like an informant, but some people do believe that. But I think it's more of like people feel like your interviews get people to talk about things that are then either directly used in paperwork or even if not directly, they stem to things that lead to arrest.
But whose fault is that? That's not, I don't care, that's not his fault because he asked the questions. If I, as an interviewer, if I ask you a question about something, you can say no comment.
You don't have to answer.
But if you answer it and then it's used later, that ain't my fault.
Yeah.
People don't really realize also, like, the majority of the time when I interview people, like especially when I do like kind of the true crime type stuff, these people have already done the time for that crime. You know, so I've spoken to people that have committed murders, done serious crimes, like, you know, Terrence Gangster Williams, Birdman's brother, did 40 murders that he admitted to. But these are all things that they've already cooperated with, they've already done their time with, and they have the right to speak on that. They've given up big chunks of their lives for the ability to speak on that. You know, I've never talked to people about open cases on or off camera. You can talk to anybody. Like off camera, like I don't know what you're doing in your private life. I don't know. If you want to leave Vlad TV and go rob a bank, and they say, oh, Vlad TV got him arrested. I didn't tell him to go rob that bank. So a lot of people, I mean, look, hip hop is very street oriented. You know, people that are doing, you know, they're rapping and they're producing whatever else, they're also doing stuff on the side, like the Casanova 2 Times situation. I did one interview with him when he first started out. And then he got caught up for some other stuff way later on. I hadn't interviewed him in years and years, but somehow people said, "Oh, the Vlad TV interview got him locked up." But no, there's DMs, there was messages, there was a whole case, there was snitches, there was so forth. We had nothing to do with it. He himself will say that I had nothing to do with it, but people like to connect it, like, "Oh, he asked this question, so obviously that's the reason." But it just comes to the territory.
How many times have the feds came to you for audio? Or maybe they felt that there was an interview that you only played a little bit part, or they were looking for extras. How many times have they reached out to you?
One time.
Was that Keefe D?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, no. Sorry, you're right. Two times. One time was with Jimmy Henchman. We did an interview with him. He mentioned a few things about his case, and he was in the process of getting an appeal. Well, getting like a retrial, I guess. So the next day, he called me and said, "Hey, listen, my lawyer listened to this, and he said that this might hurt my case. Can you take it down?" I said, "No problem." Like 6 months later, the Justice Department called me up, and they're like, "We want this footage," because they wanted the original footage. They had a copy of it because, you know, people had reposted it or whatever else, but they wanted the original footage. And I said, "I'm not giving it to you." He's like, "Well, we'll put you on the stand." I said, "Well, you'll have to speak to my lawyer at that point." So I spent like $10,000 in lawyer fees, and we actually blocked them from obtaining the footage. And he went, you know, he had a retrial and he lost anyways. But I didn't want to contribute to that. Like, if you're going to come and interview on my show, I'm not going to then cooperate with the police to get you locked up. I will do my best to protect you, even if I have to spend thousands of dollars. The other case was the Keefe D case. Las Vegas PD reached out to me like a dozen times and kept leaving messages for the raw footage, and I always just ignored them.
So I didn't know that. I thought usually they would fight you tooth and nail to get that footage, and they would subpoena you and all that. But
they tried for the Jimmy Henchman case. They actually took it to whoever, I think Jeff Sessions was in charge during that time, and he wouldn't sign off on it. But it was a very interesting case. I think it would have set legal precedent because we put it up and then we took it down. And they're like, "Well, we still want it." I'm like, "Well, freedom of the press, I could protect my footage." Like, "Well, but you already put it up." I'm like, "Well, it doesn't matter. I took it down." So if they were able to actually successfully subpoena it, that would set a kind of a precedent for future people that took stuff down that you can go back into history and so forth. But ultimately, I will do my best to protect you. I will do my very, very best.
Say that, Vlad. I think that's because if they want if the feds want the evidence and you're saying that, then they might can say you're what's the word? What's the
conspirator?
It's not conspirator, but it's something about blocking people from evidence.
No, it's not a conspirator. I'm not saying I don't have it. I'm saying I'm not going to give it
interfering
to
with
you.
evidence, but
No. But they have to go through a legal process. Like I had a criminal lawyer that went back and forth with the feds and so forth, and ultimately they weren't successful. They threatened to put me on the stand. I said, "Go ahead and put me on the stand if that's what you got to do." Like, I'm not a criminal. If that's the worst things you could do to me, I'll take the stand and I'll be a hostile witness. That's what ultimately happened.
If you was to put those interviews up and say they were true crime, them shit would blow up. The fact that they're kind of like labeled hip hop is what keeps them seriously, because true crime is like the biggest genre in podcasting. If you was to put those interviews up as true crime, they'd be out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to a bunch of networks right now. We've had like network meetings for the last few weeks about having a Vlad TV true crime series. No one's actually signed the contract yet, but hopefully something like that will happen. But yeah, I've been doing true crime really for 17 years at this time.
Yeah. Not labeling it that though. If you was labeling, I mean, don't get me wrong, Vlad TV does great. Yeah. But if you was labeling it true crime, and you still can.
I mean, I still do. Yeah. I mean, in my own way. Yeah. I mean, like the Keefe D interview, but we've also done a lot of really big interviews. Michael Franzese, Sammy the Bull was a regular guest on my show, and we went to his whole story. A lot of Mexican Mafia, Nuestra Familia interviews and so forth, MS-13. I mean, all around. And like a lot of these guys, they now come to me to do their first interview. And that's kind of the cool part. Like people like trust me to tell their story because they feel that I will accurately tell it and tell the whole story as opposed to just focus on a couple like things.
You get nervous with that though, because you're talking about some real people, not rappers. You're talking about some real people that have you swimming with the fishes.
I mean, look, I have armed security usually, you know, most times during these interviews. And I mean, these people are coming to me to tell their story. They know that I don't mean them any harm. They know that I'm actually benefiting them. And a lot of people, like, you know, like for example, like Terrence Gangster Williams, like he came out of prison and he wanted to do his first interview with me. Now he has a full-blown YouTube career. You know, he makes 6 digits where he actually supports himself without having to work a job because he's still on probation, so he has to keep a certain type of job. You know, I remember one of the really success stories was that Gangster had an arch enemy named Lil Diesel that someone asked me to bring up the name during this one interview. And he's like, yeah, you know, me and him were like at war. People were getting killed, stabbed, and so forth. And the last time we saw each other, we pulled out knives. Lil Diesel reached out to me and said, hey, I want to do an interview. I said, do you want to do one with Terrence? And he goes, yeah. So I flew them both into New York.
You're crazy.
I had NYPD in the building. I explained to them, like, listen, if y'all end up stabbing each other, you're going to get arrested. I can't do anything about it, right? So everyone got, you know, y'all got a razor in your mouth or something. So everyone got frisked, whatever else. They did an interview. And then after the interview, they became friends. And Diesel actually moved in with Gangster. And he lives with Gangster and Gangster's mom, and now they're best friends.
What the hell are you talking
They
about?
went from arch enemies that were trying to kill each other. Like Gangster has this whole scar down his stomach from a gang fight they got into, and now they live together. They're roommates. Like, how crazy is that?
That's a little different.
Because of the interview, because I put them in the same room and I got them back together.
There's a sitcom there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
It's
That is
definitely
a sitcom,
It's
yeah.
definitely a sitcom there somewhere.
Glad, do you have like favorite people to interview? Because I see Boosie up there, Aries Spears all the time. Are you like friends with them? Do they call you, or are you calling them like, yo, come up here and talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, me and Boosie, you know, we've had a relationship forever. I'm actually flying out there in a couple of weeks to do another feature on him in his home. Me and Boosie, it's a little bit more business. You know, me and Aries, you know, we chop it up. I mean, but really all my regular guests kind of become friends to a certain degree over time. You know, because I realized early on, I can't keep getting new people every single day, every single week. So I had to start, you know, working with repeat guests. And, you know, they worked out. There's certain people that really just kind of blown up. Like Lord Jamar, he's back on Vlad TV again. I'm doing him later today. And, yeah, man.
And you pay.
Yeah, and I paid people. Yeah, all my regular guests get paid.
How did the Lord Jamar situation get reconciled? We never even talked about that often.
Yeah.
Like, how did that?
Yeah, well, I mean, it happened over the Farrakhan situation. Right?
So what happened? Yeah, break down why y'all stopped speaking.
So I misquoted Farrakhan. And I remember me and you were talking during that time. There was a video that was circulating that had Farrakhan saying certain things about Jewish people, but the video was cut at a certain time where he kind of explained himself later on, and he wasn't really saying what inferred from that particular clip. So at the time, you know, I put out kind of a statement, but I didn't really put out an apology, and a bunch of people got pissed off at me, you know, like, you know, Jamar was one of them. So we just stopped talking for about 5 years. And then my whole thing was like, I was planning on doing an apology and so forth. So me and Willie D have been close friends for a long time, and he's a big, big Farrakhan supporter. Been on stage with him, long conversation with him and so forth. So I said, listen, when I do the apology, I'm going to come to Houston. I'm going to do it with you. So that's exactly what I did. I flew to Houston. We sat down. I knew it wasn't going to be a softball interview because he really went hard for Farrakhan. But he was also my friend, and he respected me. He never spoke about me publicly and so forth. So we did the interview, and it came out. And then, you know, it had a lot of good, like, you know, people like Killer Mike called me to thank me and, you know, and so forth. And Jamar just called me up one day and was like, hey, man, like, he had mentioned, because he did this interview with his pit bull. He had like a baby pit bull in this one interview. And then he had said how his pit bull recently died. And he started thinking about kind of like the cycle of life and our relationship and so forth. So we got on the phone and we chopped it up. We had a long conversation. Then we had another follow-up conversation. I'm like, why don't you come back and do the show? He's like, yo, let's do it. And we did it. Now we rocking back again. That's dope.
It makes me wonder, you know, did Lord Jamar feel like he just had to be like that with you because of public pressure? You know what I mean?
Somewhat. I mean, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of backlash, and it was like my first like cancel moment. You know, we've all gone through like, you know, you two have, you know, I mean, I know for a fact I've gone through it. And the first time you go through it, you're like, damn, like the whole world is turning against me, but then you start to see who your real friends are, because certain people like you, like we've always had a close relationship. You've never spoken against me, people like Willie, people like Trey D and so forth. They may feel a certain type of way, but people like John Sally, people like Michael Jai White, like you got to see who your real friends are, who really were there for you. So it was kind of a bad experience and a good experience at the same time.
You had a very controversial stance when it came to Diddy, right? People were mad at you. What's your stance with that?
I mean, which part?
The Cassie part.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
You
break
said
that
if a man wants to rub another man's nut on his nipples, he should be allowed to do that.
I didn't hear him say that.
Never said
I
that.
didn't say that.
I never said that.
You said Cassie is guilty of the same prostitution charges Diddy was just convicted of. I interviewed 3 other male escorts. All 3 of them said the same thing. Cassie picked them, contacted them for freak offs, enjoyed the experiences. Meanwhile, she's sitting on $30 million and writing letters to the judge asking him to not be giving bail.
$40 million, but go ahead.
No, it was 20 and 10.
Oh, 20 I thought it was 30 and 10.
I mean, I feel, if Diddy's Nino Brown, she's G Money.
Yeah.
It is. It's true.
Like I've interviewed the actual escorts. I have 2 more escorts that are coming in today that I'm interviewing. No, tomorrow, Friday. 2 more escorts are coming in, and every story is exactly the same. Cassie was with it. She would pick them out. She would actually engage with them. She was happy. There was no type of being forced to do it. Now, one of them did say, who I'm interviewing on Friday, did say that he saw Diddy abuse her. And what I think is this is ultimately a domestic violence case that is ballooned into RICO and sex trafficking and so forth. But really what it's about is domestic violence, which is if Diddy was charged with that, he would be absolutely guilty.
Correct.
He's definitely a monster for doing that. But domestic violence is not this case. It's RICO. It's a criminal enterprise. It's sex trafficking, which, if you look, I did an interview with Shirley Jew because I was at the Hollywood Unlocked Awards and I was on the red carpet. And she asked me, what do you think will happen? This is a couple of days before the verdict. I said exactly what the verdict was going to be. I said he's going to beat the RICO. He's going to beat the sex trafficking. He'll probably catch a prostitution charge and probably get a slap on the wrist. And we'll see what happens.
But isn't it crazy that usually in a prostitution charge, right, the prostitutes and the pimp gets more of the charges. But in this case, they all got immunity.
Oh, they didn't get immunity. Well, no, it's not Cassie.
Yeah, Cassie got immunity
too.
Cassie got immunity.
Everybody got immunity.
Got immunity. I just thought she was testifying.
The prostitutes got immunity. The escort services didn't get charged.
But if you're the big guy in the RICO, though, right? Like if we're talking about, because how they tried to set it up was the RICO, it didn't work.
Yeah.
If you're the big guy, that's what you offer to everyone else to flip, because you need the evidence. You need people on the stand. So
right.
That's not uncommon.
They lost the RICO.
Yeah.
They lost. It wasn't a RICO. And look, the prosecutor got fired right after the verdict, which kind of sends a message as to, they probably told her not to do it, but she's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get him on a RICO. I mean, look, the whole thing was ridiculous. And I kind of feel like, and what I feel is that when it comes to a battle, right, and we've all kind of gotten into it with people in various ways, when you win, you should stop, right? Cassie got $30 million. She got Diddy locked up for a year. He's lost hundreds of millions of dollars. No Diddy has become the new pause, right? He will always be considered gay-ish for the rest of his life. He's not going to go to any big award shows. He won't be honored or whatever else.
Well, he was considered gay before that, though.
No, but not after the come on the nipple thing. That was like...
That's a different layer to the gay.
Yo, that was...
But Wendy Williams had painted a pretty gay picture of Diddy before.
But she didn't know about the come on the nipples.
No,
like, that was crazy. He can't win an argument with a man again.
Nah.
They can just pull that out on him, right?
Crazy.
So
and
after
then he
all
can pull
this,
out on him.
Yeah. And he got found guilty, and after all that, with $30 million in her pocket, she publicly embarrassed him, everything else like that, she still wrote a letter to the judge to not let him out before the sentencing.
Well, that's where the beating comes into play. And I mean, the prosecution didn't prove it, so it don't matter. But the beating comes into play because they were saying because she was such an abused person, she really didn't want to participate in these things. She was doing it because she was afraid that she might get beat if she said
That's not what the participants actually said.
Yeah, I mean, listen, prosecution
that's
didn't
not
prove
what
it.
Don the dealer, this tall guy with green eyes and so forth, like he was like, she picked me. We had a great relationship. And they all said if they felt that she was uncomfortable, they would have left. Like but she would pick them. She would pay them. She would be in contact with them. She would meet up with some of them on the side and sneak out. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion.
They said she didn't have it. They never said she had immunity though. She never said she
They
received
never said
immunity.
it on the stand, but all the other there was a few other people that got on the stand that they did the whole immunity, like whatever that exchange back and forth is called. They did it while they were on the stand, but they've never directly said that about her.
Okay, who wants to bet that she won't get charged?
No.
Seriously, I'll bet
Nah,
someone
she's not gonna get charged.
$100,000 that she won't get charged. So yeah, she may have gotten official immunity, but we all know that she's not going to get charged.
Question, and this
Yeah.
is just me being objective.
Yes.
Do you think that because a lot of her letter with keeping him locked up and not getting bail, at least, was about the fear of like Diddy? You feel like
Retaliation.
Retaliation.
Yeah.
You feel like there's no, at this point, if Diddy was to be let go on bail, and even he's asking for charges to be dropped or get a new trial, if he was to just be let go, everything free, he's a changed man. Nothing will happen again. People don't have to worry about nothing. You feel like that?
I think that Diddy is terrified of Cassie. I think there's no person on earth that Diddy's more scared of. I think he's more scared of like Cassie than Suge Knight.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think Diddy fears nothing.
I think he's terrified based on what she's done.
I think she knows about it. I think
Yeah.
I think
Because I think there's some more stuff in there and so
And
forth.
it can't get no worse. He's like,
And
can
look,
it?
she has $30 million. She can afford Green Berets and Navy SEALs to surround her house if that's what she wants. Like she has multi-generational wealth. Generational wealth. And look, I mean, I went at it with Tony Busby on Pierce Morgan.
I saw that.
Got right here.
Yeah.
I went in because look, you have 100 victims that all claim they were drugged and raped by Diddy, but nobody in the Fed case could prove that they were drugged and raped by Diddy. They're all found not guilty. You know, he was found not guilty on all those charges. You know, so you mean to say that all those 100 victims were not part of the trial? I just think it was a bullshit lawsuit. That's why me and him went at it.
How much would you pay for a Diddy interview, Larry?
The first Diddy interview?
Yes.
I'll
Yeah, the
probably
first
drop
one.
like 100,000. Yeah, I drop 100,000 for the
That's
first
your
Diddy
number, though. You got to do a little better for Diddy.
I mean, listen, he's rich. Like I don't think you can pay Diddy. I don't think there's enough money, like, because he's still probably worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
There's certain people that like you can't really pay because they're not going to do it. They're going to do it because they want to
wanna
do
do
it.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Has anybody reached out from his family that wants to sit down? Okay.
You recently had some comments about Nicki Minaj as well, called Snitchy Minaj.
Yes.
Do you really think what she did was snitching when she talked to Anna Luna about Top Dog threatening her life?
I mean, number one, Top Dog did not threaten her life. There was this other guy that worked for TDE. I think he was like a DJ or something like that. I forgot his name. But he made a comment that said, oh, you know, Nicki don't want with TDE. You see what Kendrick did? You know, she don't want to be in the blender. And suddenly she's like, TDE is threatening my life at FBI, at CIA. And then like Luna was like, we're going to investigate this. It's like, you know damn well nobody threatened your life. You know damn well nobody threatened your life with that little comment. You're Nicki Minaj. So you turn around, people call me the feds, but she's literally tagging the FBI and CIA, talking to representatives who are investigating the situation. Yes, Snitchy Minaj.
How do you know? How do you know that they didn't? How do you know someone did not threaten her life, though?
She's basing it on that. That was a direct response to some guy going on live saying, oh, you'll get put in the blender. Do you really think that this guy's going to chop her up and put her in a blender? Like, seriously, come on.
I'm
Come
sure
on.
the Barbs went at you for a couple days.
Oh, they still go at me.
But I thought the put in the blender was slang.
I thought
though.
it was rapping.
Exactly.
I thought
It's
like
rapping.
I thought it was
Yeah, it
rapping.
didn't mean like
She's a rapper. It's rapper slang. Cut it out.
Yeah.
Cut it out. I don't know what she's on, but this tirade she went on, and the whole thing of calling SZA ugly and so
Yeah, that was
forth
crazy.
was
Yeah, I
like,
did see that, yeah.
SZA really don't bother nobody. You know what I'm saying? She really doesn't bother anybody.
Did the Barbs go crazy on you?
Yes.
He said they still
Yes.
do.
Yes.
What's the craziest thing a barber said to you?
Oh, we're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill your family. Like that type
Put you
of
in a
stuff.
blender.
Put you in a
in a
blender. Yeah.
So you don't like in those moments you don't contact nobody? Like,
No. No.
You gotta put it on
You don't
record just in
care?
case.
No. Now,
Did
look,
you when the Barbs went at you?
No, not
Okay,
the Barbs.
me
No.
What if I did that too?
No. Now someone shows up at my house.
Oh, you did it too, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if someone shows up
Who
at
I
my
do that?
house,
That's
then yeah, I'm gonna absolutely contact the authorities.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, or I'm gonna protect myself.
Yeah.
One of the two. But yeah, like everyone in this room knows there's the internet and there's real life, and the two are rarely related. These same people that say they're gonna kill you on the internet, if they meet you, they want a photo. That's real life. When I walk around, I'm loved. People want to take pictures of me. You guys, I'll go through this. Like, this is not just me. This is everybody. They want to take pictures of me. They want to take pictures of the kids. They tell me how much they love my interviews and so forth. But on the internet, you would think that I'm hated. But that's not reality.
But also the game needs villains. I don't have a problem being the bad guy.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy sometimes.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't need to be an Avenger. You know what I'm saying? I can be part of the Black Order with Thanos.
You can be Dr. Doom.
That's it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Has there been somebody you interviewed that walked out, was like, I'm not doing this?
Walked out?
In the middle of the interview.
I mean, Ugly God did at one point. I think he apologized.
Mm-hmm.
He was going through a lot of personal, mental issues, and we talked about that afterwards. Tretch kind of walked out at the end.
Why Tretch walk out?
Tupac questions. We were just started talking about the Tupac murder and so forth, and I think Tretch feels that he was assassinated and there was more to it, and he started to get kind of emotional. So he didn't storm up, but he got up and was like, man, I can't talk about this anymore and so forth. But in general, I don't keep pushing people to the point of them snapping.
Gotcha.
It's just not my style, because I'm not trying to have a platform where people wild out and storm out and so forth. That's, Adam is a little bit more like that. He kind of likes that. But if you look at my platform, I've never really been into that.
Has anybody ever told you a story that got you emotional?
Yeah. Yeah. A few times. The girl Mia from the Tagoe case, when she was talking about her sex trafficking, and what she went through, and being a teenager and being forced to have sex with a bunch of men in motel rooms and being forced to be a stripper and so forth. That got me a little emotional. A few times I started to kind of cry a little bit on camera. Yeah.
What about the Day 26 interview, right? When you had Q and him crying.
Yeah, no, I didn't personally get emotional during that, but that was kind of a crazy interview.
Yeah.
Because I've had a person cry. I mean, I probably have maybe a dozen interviews where people have cried on camera, but I've never seen a whole group of people just start to cry at the same time. And
they cried in harmony.
Yeah.
Cried in harmony, yeah.
And that was crazy because they was up here a week before.
Yeah.
That interview was done already, though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So they came to you first. Okay.
No, I don't think so. Was it?
When did you tape them?
I think they came to you after Breakfast Club.
I think you guys had them first.
Yeah.
I thought you texted me one time. You was like, damn, that was sad. But when we did our interview, I think you was like, when I release it, you're going to see them crying and the reason why. I thought. I could be
maybe
I'm pretty sure they came to you.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, these dates kind of start to kind of meld a little bit.
Did you ever find out why they all cried?
Well, I think Q talked about it later. He said that he was drugged.
Oh,
He claimed Dawn drugged her, which she's denied.
Yeah,
and then he woke up in a room and everyone was laughing at him or something. And I don't know. She denied the whole thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, they didn't give a fuck about Dawn or Cassie's testimony.
One
in
of
that case.
the
God
jurors
damn.
came out afterwards saying that that was Dawn they thought was the least credible. He was an alternate juror. If he had to actually go in, he would have thought she was least credible.
Yeah.
What did you think of G Herbo's challenge to you in academics? He said that I think it was during the Adam Friedland interview. He said, I challenge academics, Vlad, and others to donate money to kids in Chicago since they made money off their pain. His exact quote was, I feel like all those kinds of guys, what they should do is give to a nonprofit organization in Chicago. I'm going to challenge them to do that, like academics, Vlad, all you N-words that made money off the culture and people dying and bloodshed and shit like that. Go donate 20 grand to 50 grand to a nonprofit organization that focus on just the betterment of kids. So it's a two-part question, really. Mm-hmm. How did you feel when he called you the N-word?
Out of all that, that's I mean, look, at the end of the day, the obvious response, the knee-jerk reaction is like, well, what about you? You say GDK in your lyrics. That's Gangster Disciple Killer, and you have all these violent lyrics. But
G Herbo does a lot, though.
What's that?
G Herbo does do a lot in his community.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think we could all do things that kind of help out. I think we all have a part in it. I think me, academics, and G Herbo, and a lot of the other drill artists have a part because we all talk about it and we all publicize it, and you could say that just putting it out there could create, negative situations. So, I've been talking to G Herbo's people about doing an interview and actually talking about it face to face on it, because I think that in that situation, the interviewer, I forgot what his name is,
Adam Friedman.
You know what's funny? I just did academics. This guy, there's a picture of him in blackface.
Really?
That interviewer. Yeah, like academics actually pulled out the photo. So this dude's a racist. You know what I'm saying? And I think he was purposely poking the bear to try to get a reaction out of Herbo. But I've interviewed G Herbo since he was Lil Herb, right? We have multiple interviews. I think that we could all, instead of saying and start pointing the finger at each other and saying, you're doing this, why don't we all come together, maybe donate together? Because we all have a part in this in our own way. You know, nobody's completely innocent. But ultimately, when you look at Vlad TV interviews, and I've interviewed a lot of these Chicago guys, when I bring up certain beef situations, it's always in the context of like, can you guys work it out? A lot of these guys, I know both parties. Like, for example, you look at like the Young and Ace and Fulio situation. I've talked to both of them about possibly working it out. I can get both of y'all on the phone. They didn't want to do it. And ultimately, you know, Fulio got killed, not because of the Young and Ace, but, you know, through other situations. But it's like, I always try to de-escalate situations. I told FBG Duck he should move out of, you know, Chicago multiple times. And then the worst possible thing happens. Like, you see this a lot, but I've always tried to get peace with people. Just like I talked about the Terrence Gangster Williams, the Lil Diesel situation. I try to bring people together and get them to be cool with each other. Because a lot of times when people can get on the phone and have an actual real conversation, like, look, me and you have had problems.
Absolutely.
How do we fix it?
Conversation.
Me and you have had little issues over the time, and we fixed it. Like, these are all grown adults. We can all fix it, but the problem is nobody talks to each other. People look at comments. People at social media amp them up. They have their friends around them that tell them, fuck them, we're not going to do it, and so forth. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. And then people try to outdo themselves, you know, because the worst thing in my generation in terms of diss tracks was Tupac when he said, I'll fuck your bitch. And everyone's like, oh, it can't get any worse than that. It got worse than that. Chief Keef came around and suddenly it's like smoking my ops. And then Fulio came around doing videos, you know, in front of people's grave sites, holding up pictures of the people that were killed. Some of them were like teenagers, you know? And I remember, like, there's an interview with Boosie. In my next Boosie interview, I'm going to bring this up. I said, yo, someone's going to try to out-ignorant each other. You know, someone's trying to out-ignorant the game. I bet you someone's going to dig up one of their enemies.
But they already tried that.
And after I said that, someone blew up a gravesite.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, what's next?
They tried to do that. And then somebody tried to do, it was Pop Smoke's grave.
Pop Smoke's grave.
Yeah,
got desecrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's...
I think it's easier to have conversations when you and a person had a previous relationship. Like, it was easy for me and you to have a conversation because we were actually friends and still friends. You know what I mean? But and I felt like I did something fucked up. You know, so I reached out. So I think it's different when you actually have a previous relationship with somebody.
Yeah, but even people that don't really have previous relationships, like me and Joe Budden ran into each other, I think in December, and you know, I saw him looking at me. We were at Bergdorf Goodman. I looked over. I'm like, oh shit, it's Joe Budden. He's like looking at me. I walked up to him. We shook hands. We had a short conversation, and then that's it. I spoke about it publicly. He spoke about it publicly. The stories matched up, and it was like, yo, like, we don't have to keep going at it. You know, and most times it's like people think that they have to in order to go viral and so forth, when most times it's like it doesn't really accomplish anything, especially when you talk about media. I've always been very big about reaching out to media people early. Like, I was the first person to reach out to you when you were in South Carolina. That's right. And put you on a national
DVDs,
mixtape.
Way,
put you on the DVDs,
way back. That was
2002
or 3.
Yeah, like maybe 2003, somewhere around that time. So I've always, Academics, Adam, Sean Cotton, Traplo Ross, 1090 Jake, everybody. Like, I've reached out to all these people. I've offered any sort of help that I could do. I've brought them on my platform. I've done their platforms. And I feel like we could all be better off if we all work together as opposed to beefing. I think media people beefing with each other is stupid. I agree. Absolutely stupid.
Yeah, see, I don't know that new generation, but to your point, it's like, yeah, you know, like me and you know each other since Columbia, South Carolina. You put on beef DVDs. Yeah. Academics, I knew Ack when Ack was doing college radio. I'm DJ Academics' first interview ever. The first person he ever sat down and interviewed was me. Joe Budden used to come to South Carolina and be hanging out at my apartment.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
So it's just like, yeah, it is kind of strange. Yes.
But I think it's harder because, like, a lot of people who don't know you only get the perception of, like, what people say about you and then what they see online. And, like, because, like, there's been times where you've even come out after tweets and you've apologized for certain things with, like, the girl from Princeton. and then the Boss Man D-Lo stuff.
Yeah.
Like, but people don't know you before that. They just know what people say about you.
Some of this is Vlad's fault though, because I don't know why Vlad decided to be a personality. Vlad could have just been, you could have just been asking the question, but then you decided to be a personality and coming at people.
And
That's kind of
your tweets be like, I'd be like,
they go viral. Yeah. And sometimes I'm surprised. I'm like, 5 million impressions on this random ass tweet. Like,
are you
10 million impressions. I am
what
sometimes.
You be doing. You know how to work the algorithm.
I do. But then again, I don't know what's going to take off. Like, it's like, wow, like this is on World Star and Shade Room and people are having interviews about it and so forth. I don't know. Like, I never thought that this would be what I was doing in my life. Like, I was just a hip hop fan. I bought every Source magazine. I bought every XXL magazine. I was just, neurotic about loving hip hop. And I just thought that I was going to be a fan for the rest of my life. And then at one point, it turned into something else. So the fact that I'm here is always like a shock. So when people recognize me in public or when these tweets go viral, I'm always just flattered more than anything else.
More, speaking of, people just communicating, get on the phone and talking, have you and Marlon Wayans settled y'all differences? No, I know y'all went back.
But I texted him and, I apologized. I was going through a really rough patch. I was going through a really rough patch in my life. And he just happened to be interacting with me at that point. And the thing about that was, he had asked me through his representative, he wanted $40,000 plus 30% of all future revenues to do an interview. And I'm like, you don't charge anyone for that. Like, Marlon Wayans been here multiple times. How much you guys pay him?
But Breakfast Club doesn't pay, though.
We don't pay
anybody.
anybody.
But you have a reputation for paying people.
Okay. All the interviews he's done, I know all the platforms. I personally know the people that he's done all the platforms with. Nobody has paid him for interviews. Or no one's paid him any sort of significant amount of money. But I felt like him hitting up for $40,000 was just sort of like, well, just say you don't fuck with me. Just don't ask me for this crazy amount of money. But me and him had a conversation. He was very cool and very polite about it. And I was just being an asshole. Like I said, I was going through a bunch of stuff. And I just decided to make it public. And that turned into a whole back and forth, to a whole roasting session where he roasted me, I roasted him, and so forth. But, when the dust settled, I'm like, he didn't deserve any of this.
That's very mature.
I said, I was just being an asshole. Like, I was just being a jerk because when it comes to interviews, and you know this, like, I really just like, I take it too personally sometimes because this is my whole life and this is my legacy. Like, this is what I do. So when there's someone who I respect and I feel like I have a platform, I have a big platform that if you do Vlad TV, you're not doing me a favor. Like, this is going to get out there. This is going to cause you to get more business, more shows. Like, people's entire careers were built off of doing Vlad TV interviews, especially comedians. Because I've always been so locked in with comedians, from Aries to TK Kirkland, who constantly says that that he's been helped out by doing Vlad TV interviews, to even like the newer guys like Will Mills and stuff like that. Like, I've always reached out because I've been a comedy fan. So I just felt like you just hit me up for this type of money. But at the end of the day, it was just a business conversation. It should have been kept private, and I was being a jerk about it. So I personally apologized in a text message. He didn't respond.
Oh, to Marlon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
we had each other's numbers, so he didn't respond, and he spoke about it. I mean, you guys, had him on your show and so forth, and I think he's still a little salty about it, and that's his right. I understand. I don't expect my apology to ultimately hit home every time, but he knows what it is. So if we run into each other, we'll probably have an in-person conversation.
If he wanted to come down, the door's still open for him.
Absolutely. Not for $40,000.
I was about to say, what would you pay him?
Maybe like 10. Maybe like 10.
But I mean, his number is his number. Marlon Wayans is a big star.
Yeah.
I understand. Your number is your number to a certain degree. But at the end of the day, there's also the market, right? So, for example, you look at like a stand-up, you look at like an Arce Spears. Me and him talked about this, right? Arce Spears does clubs. He's always booked in clubs. Now, he could tell his agent, from here on in, I'm only doing stadiums. If it's not a stadium, don't call me. You know what's going to happen?
No calls.
He's not going to have any calls.
Yeah.
So you could say that your number is this, but the market and the views don't support that. And what I said was, like, when he did, the Breakfast Club last time, it got less than 1 million views.
No, I think he got over 1 million on Breakfast. How much he got on Enoch?
Look at it was. I thought he posted it was like, see, I did.
No, that was Shannon Sharp.
He comes a lot though.
Yeah, he did.
Look up the last Breakfast Club interview with Marlon Wayans. Look at the numbers.
Let's see. I think he's been here since the.
He comes all the time.
A year ago, he got an interview that did 400,000 on Breakfast Club.
400,000 is about $5,000.
But at the
Okay, no. I know YouTube. 400,000 views is about $5,000. And you guys are a big platform. We have a similar size overall. Like you guys do radio, but on YouTube we have a similar size.
But then he was here a year ago. Well, that was a year ago. The one that got 400. He was here 9 months ago, and he got 800.
800 views.
Okay, so that's $10,000.
But around the time
Where does the $40,000 come in? You see what I'm saying?
He did Shannon Sharp right after y'all thing.
Yeah, 9.8 million.
And that went crazy.
Those numbers look a little sketchy. Those
Come on,
numbers look a little sketchy.
It's okay to say you were wrong, Vlad.
No. Every other platform does this number, and suddenly it's this number. Those numbers look a little sketchy.
But Shannon, I mean, let me see. 10 months ago, Club Shay Shay is a big part of the algorithm. You know how that works too on YouTube.
I'm just saying, when you know, every time you do a platform, you get this, and suddenly you're like 10 times that. I don't know.
And then it also depends on what you're talking about too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was the follow-up interview after our beef and so forth. But I don't think that was even addressed in the interview. So
I don't know if it was.
no, it wasn't.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because you've been on YouTube for a long time.
Yeah.
YouTube does favor new, right?
Well, brand new clips.
Well, just
Brand new interviews?
brand
Yeah,
new.
new is favored, absolutely.
Yeah. But even new platforms, I think.
No,
You don't think so?
no,
It's hard
Okay.
to do.
no,
Talk to me.
no. I mean, look, YouTube does a great job that if you have a strong video, that it'll get it out there. But I mean, if you don't have the subscribers and you don't have the following, and it's not being like viewed, like TikTok is pretty good at that. Like you could have a TikTok page with 1,000 followers and suddenly get like 5 million views, but YouTube is not like that.
YouTube is shadow banned us, blacklisted us.
Really?
What?
All
They've
the
sent
time.
us emails that says like, this content doesn't necessarily violate our terms and agreement. We just deem it inappropriate. Like, what?
Yeah.
And you know when it started? It started after January 6th when I gave Donkey of the Day to who I called Vanilla ISIS, the people who stormed the Capitol. And that's when they first sent us. I'm like, how is this inappropriate
Yeah.
for me to give them Donkey of the Day? And it's been kind of like, I mean, but you know, it varies.
Look, I mean, shout out to Marlon Wayans, man. Like, he's a legend in what he does. And I apologize publicly. I know that he didn't accept the apology. But at the end of the day, I was wrong for putting personal business out in the public. And that's what I apologize for. But I still will say $40,000 was just a number that wasn't reasonable.
So was it? I would think it would be the 30% of revenue that comes from the content. You tripped over the 40,000.
Well, the 30% wasn't reasonable either. You know, now if it was nothing in 30%, then that would have been an interesting conversation. But 40,000 plus 30%, I mean, we would have to get like 30 million views to like break even. Like it's really like a huge amount that didn't really make sense based on his overall numbers. Now, if it was Cat Williams, it'd be a different conversation.
Gotcha.
But
What was your biggest interview that got you the most revenue?
the interview with Roger Bonds went crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Roger Bonds was Diddy's head of security for like 10 years. And he firsthand saw the abuse between Diddy and Cassie, as well as all the other crazy stuff that was happening. And we did the interview right before Diddy was arrested. So it was doing okay, but then when he was arrested, suddenly it went crazy. And just kept going crazy for like a couple of months.
How much did it do, views-wise?
Like,
ballpark?
I mean, the full interview did like maybe 3 million views, but then all the clips did a lot and so forth. So it did some big numbers, and I had him back since then.
Why don't you think he wasn't on the stand? Because he wasn't called.
They contacted him. They contacted his lawyer, but they ultimately didn't bring him on, which surprised me a little bit. But I don't know. I thought the feds fumbled that whole case, period. So it doesn't totally surprise me.
I feel like you get more views for things outside of hip hop.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But, you know, Vlad TV has never been the darling of the music industry, if you think about it. Like, we don't really work with any of the labels anymore. If we work with artists, it's usually directly from the artist. Like, all the PR, you know, sections of the labels, like, don't rock with me. So we had to figure out how to do it. We had to go outside, you know, outside the box. We had to start bringing in people that other people really weren't, you know, rocking with, and they're ignoring. So this is where some of the guests that became regular guests, like Lord Jamar, was not like a hot hip hop artist at the time that I brought him on, and he became a big personality because we kept putting him on. I mean, Brand Nubian hadn't put out, you know, music in quite a while, but, you know, I always try to just sit there and kind of think outside the box. Like I'll be watching Netflix and I'll be like, oh, okay, the man with 1,000 kids. That sounds like an interesting interview. Let's fly him in from Amsterdam and have a conversation with him. It'll be like that.
That's always been my mentality. We've talked about this a million times. Like I feel like the whole hip hop media thing, it's a glass ceiling, right? Because you're only going to interview Jay-Z once. If at all.
If at all. Yeah, I've never interviewed.
You know what I mean? Like you're only going to get these interviews like once. So it's just like, why can't hip hop personalities talk to, people outside of hip hop? Yeah, and why do you get penalized for that as a hip hop media journalist, whatever that means?
I mean, I don't consider myself a strictly hip hop media personality. Like I've always been outside the box. So I've never looked at it that way. And like I said, a lot of it is because I had to do it. Now look, if I was on the list for every promo run for every big artist, I'd probably be focusing more on just hip hop and music, but I don't get that luxury.
No, you wouldn't, because there's still not a lot of those. How many of those have we seen this year?
Not too many.
Push the Clips. Who else? Like seriously, think about it. Like these artists don't be doing those runs like that no more.
Kamala would have been a big interview for you. Why did they ever tell you Kamala Harris?
Oh, Kamala? We reached out. We were having conversations with her.
Did they ever explain to you why they passed?
No. No, but she fumbled a lot of stuff during her, during her campaign. And I've publicly said how it was a huge mistake for her not to do Joe Rogan. I think
agree.
that she had more of a chance of winning if she had done Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan did Trump and did
Elon Musk, JD Vance.
JD Vance, exactly. Yeah. Both of them came in, sat with him for hours, whereas Kamala said, you have to come to me and you have a limited amount of time. And I just thought that was a mistake. And I think if I had done a Kamala interview and we had like multiple hours that could ask whatever we want, it would have been like her biggest interview in, probably in her life. Honestly, because I really would have really gone in and so forth. And I voted for Kamala. I have pictures of me voting for Kamala. Yeah. So,
What do you think our biggest fumble was?
I think that at the end of the day, we didn't really know who she was.
I agree.
Love him or hate him, Trump was transparent. He came in and did all these podcasts, and he did all these talks for multiple hours, and you got to know who he really was as a person. I think Kamala to this day is still an enigma. And I think that the people just didn't connect. And look, at the end of the day...
She announced her book today, too.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she dropped a book called 107 Days for Pre-Order.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like, I voted for her. I like Kamala. Yeah. But it was just one of those things where people who supported Trump were going to come out, they're going to bring their friends, they're going to tell everyone, they're going to campaign and so forth. People, when it came to Kamala, were a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And when you saw the final numbers, the last time you saw a blowout like that was, I think, Obama's first election.
It wasn't a blowout, though.
It was a blowout.
She lost all the swing states, but when you look at the actual raw numbers,
it was a blowout. But actual, look at all the votes of Trump versus Kamala.
Yeah, you look at the actual raw numbers, it wasn't a blowout at all. It was not even. I'm gonna tell you right now, it wasn't a blowout. She did lose all the swing states.
I thought it was a couple million.
Hold on, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Look at the last time you've seen that type of gap in a presidential election. It was Obama. I remember I looked it up. So you're talking about, 15 years?
I'm going to tell you right now.
And she lost a lot of states.
Yeah, Kamala had a little bit over 75 million votes, and Trump had a little bit over 77 million votes.
It was a couple million.
Yeah, so it was the...
I think...
matter of fact, the percentage of the popular vote, Kamala was 48.3, Trump was 49.8. So
okay, you're right. Yeah. I think what I'm talking about is the actual, when you look at, what do you call it with the states?
She lost all the swing states.
Right,
but
when you count the, what do you call the votes
electoral
in the
votes.
Right, when you took the electoral college votes, that's what I'm talking about. Compare that.
It was 226 to 312.
That's a blowout. 226 versus 312? That's what I'm talking about. Last time that happened was Obama's first election. 226 versus 312. That's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty okay.
It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
It's pretty big.
It was a letdown.
Yeah.
Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want to sit down with that you haven't yet, that's been in the works, maybe it could happen, can't happen? Who is that one person that you said, I would love to sit down and talk to them? We're trying to make it happen.
I mean, this can't happen anymore, but me and OJ Simpson were in talks.
Hey, you never talked to OJ?
Never talked to OJ. We were about to do it. I was going to pay him $100,000, right? And, he had to go through like another guy because he had a lawsuit that he wasn't paying back.
Marlon is going to be pissed when he hears this shit. Boy.
So me and OJ Simpson were supposed to do an interview. They just said, don't get too deep into the blood evidence and stuff like that. And I said, that's cool. I'll touch on the trial. But
I don't even know why it mattered at this point, but go ahead.
Right. So it was all set up. And then it was like, okay, he wants cash. So I talked to my accountant. They're like, okay, we could do cash. They just have to fill out a W-9 and do an invoice, whatever else.
But you couldn't give it to him directly.
I had to give him to his man, right? I said, okay, cool, we'll do cash. And he's like, okay, I need the full amount before he gets out the car. And I'm like, yo, he owes like $10 million. He's never paid. Like he's a crook.
Vlad
right?
always bringing up somebody personal shit, like some other shit when he gotta get somebody some money.
If you have a reputation of not paying people and you want all your money up front, and I even said, look, I'll give him $50,000 up front and $50,000 at the end of the interview. No, they would not budge. They would not budge. So business wise, because look, my fear was like, we get 15 minutes into the interview. I ask him a question he doesn't like, and he walks out. What am I going to do?
Right.
That's great, though.
I'm not going to shoot him. Like, I'm not going to tackle him. Like, it's
but
like.
that's great for views.
Especially.
You get OJ
It's not 100,000 great for views. Like, it's a viral moment, and everyone will take that clip and run with it. People think, like, viral does not always mean money on the back end.
But depending on the question you ask him that causes him to walk out, OJ Simpson, that's international news, Vlad.
Okay, possibly. But I can't, but that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to have a viral 10 seconds. I'm here to actually get OJ's first real sit-down interview talking about his whole life. And ultimately, he passed away, so I never got it. Would it have probably gone well? Probably, but as a small business, I can't take $100,000 risks. I mean, I could, but it's not good business sense to do that. I'm a CEO. I have a dozen employees. I have office space. I have people who depend on me to pay their rent. So I can't just sit there and gamble $100,000 with someone who doesn't want to work with me.
When were y'all in conversation? Like, how close to his passing?
Maybe like a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think OJ did it?
Yeah.
Were you going to ask him about, did he do it? Was that going to be one of the things?
I mean, I would have danced around it somewhat.
He wrote a book. It's fair game.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah. Oh, if I did it.
If I did it, this is
I think he did. Because, I mean, I even interviewed Kato Caitlin, who was there when it all happened. And he was telling me how, like, after it happened and everyone's in the house and Kato was in the house and he was like, yeah, Kato was with me the whole time. He knows that. Kato was like, I was not with you. We went to McDonald's and came back and then you disappeared for a while. Like,
damn.
He's like, I got to get the hell up out of here.
I do wish, that you, and I'm glad, I'm glad you started that series where you're talking to people about their business and how they make money off YouTube. Yeah. Because like the stuff that you just said even a little while ago, like just that business aspect of it, it's not worth $100,000. I want to hear more of that because I think that these kids are delusional as to what people are making online.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So if you go to the Vlad TV YouTube channel, youtube.com/Vlad TV, we have 2 tiers of membership. So we have the regular tier. So for $5, you can get the full interview on the first day. But then there's a $100 tier, which is the Vlad TV YouTube Masterclass, where I actually have exclusive interviews where it talks about, with people like academics and 1090 Jake and people like that actually have shown how they've built their YouTube businesses to make hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars off their channel, as well as I have lessons where I break down exactly what I did. I actually show my studio, I show the equipment, I show the money that's made and so forth, actually showing people how to build up YouTube channels. And, it's been great. A lot of people have joined up. We do live sessions and, I think it's really dope to kind of give back to show people because so many people have made careers. Like I said, Terrence Gangster Williams have made careers off of YouTube channels to the point where they can just work at home. Like for example, like Trench's News, that clip is coming out, I think today, where he makes over $100,000 a year. He doesn't even show his face. He wears a mask the whole time. And he does these stories about Chicago in his bedroom and he can support himself and his family. He's married. I think he has kids. To just do these types of YouTube channels, and they don't have to get like a 9-to-5 job. They work for themselves. They decide when they want to work. They create their own content. A lot of these guys edit it themselves also. So yeah, Vlad TV YouTube Masterclass.
With the people that you're talking about, right, that's making money online and like they're becoming the outlets, the complex hip hop media list just dropped. Yeah. And it always causes a controversy, but this year I think people were particularly arguing most about like you got Cenat on the list, and then Black Boy Max, you're on the list, Academics is on the list. Is there people that you think should not be on the list or should have been on that list because you you're helping people come up in this game that are being placed there?
I think the list is relatively accurate. I mean, you were 5, I was 6. I'm always just flattered to be on these lists. I remember I was scrolling up from 30, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be on this year. That's cool. You know, and then I was like 6. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I thought I was a little hotter last year than this year, but if they want to give it to me, I'll take that. I think everyone, like the Kai Cenats of the world, they have pushed the envelope to create something new. The streaming platform, I think Black Boy Max is like number 4 or something, 4 on that list. Like these guys, you know, and girls have come and created something that really has not been around before. And you can't deny what Kai Cenat has done. I mean, he's had Nicki Minaj and all these other, you know, Kevin Hart's and all these other major celebrities on his stream. And they've all looked good being on that stream.
Sexy Red, Lizzo,
Sexy Red,
SZA.
it goes on.
And did all of that without being messy.
That's
I
true.
mean, this is all just great positive
that's
content.
True. That's true. Look, I've never really hated, unless you've hated on me first. I've always been like, yo, that's dope. And I've had people like Neon, you know, on my platform. I admire what they've done. Like when Neon said he spends $200,000 a month just to pay people to clip his content, you know, and that's on the Vlad TV YouTube masterclass. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. That's impressive. You know, to invest that type of money back into your own business, especially when you're a relatively young person, I think is amazing. You guys have had him on your show. That was a whole.
How you felt about the interview?
I didn't really watch it, to be honest, but I guess you brought up some racist comments that he had done in the past.
Everything.
I didn't even know about the racist comments.
Yeah, I didn't know about that either.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
The stuff that Jeff,
Vlad, how you on the internet and you don't know?
I did. Like the stuff Jeff posted later, I didn't know about all that.
No, I didn't know that.
I knew about the
follow-
Kai Cenat stuff, but I found that out like 30 minutes before the interview.
Yeah.
I don't follow the Neons of the world.
Same.
I'm 52.
But you don't, I mean, I didn't, so I don't follow Neon either, but when he was coming here, the minute I typed his name in TikTok, those were the first things that came up.
Yeah.
Why you ain't playing while he was here?
I did.
You played one.
We moved on after that. We had a whole conversation before Neon came in here, didn't we?
Why you ain't tell us?
You weren't here.
Not about all the stuff that she played the other day. I had no idea.
We had a
all I knew
full
was-
conversation.
You knew about all that stuff before the interview? You just knew about
No, not all of the stuff. But
Well, when I
I knew that
researched
he
for the
was
interview,
relatively
it came
racist
up
because he
really
was saying a
easily.
bunch of shit.
So why you ain't say something?
I didn't know about all that.
We were here
She
saying
played a
it.
video. The video that
She
she
played the
played
Indian
as
one.
much as I
she
could
was not
in
the
the
Indian
interview
one.
for
She played
the
the
time.
father with the black one,
Yeah.
Robin, said
My
the black
point
was
is-
lazy.
But there was way worse shit.
I can assure you that if that was, look, I don't do my own research sometimes. Like, you know, my assistant Evan does a lot of the research for me. So sometimes we miss certain things. I can assure you that if I had known about that, it would have been brought up in the interview.
Word.
Because I talked about him faking his death and stuff like that. I assure you that if it was in my notes, I would have included it. I was not softballing Neon on any level. But certain things would just kind of slip past me. After the fact, it'd be like, oh, why didn't you ask about that? It's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I should
We
have.
had
how
that
that go.
sometimes. We
Yeah,
forgot about that.
Yeah, I can tell you
Absolutely.
that was just a gap that we had, and I would have brought it up. But in this case, I didn't bring it up. But I brought up a lot of other controversial stuff in that interview.
So yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Same.
Do you ever get tired of people telling you that you should be more of like a fan of the culture and not an actual commentator because you're not black?
No.
When the Princeton thing happened with the lady that we talked about earlier that worked there, why did you decide to apologize in that situation?
Well, because a person that was very, very close to me, you know, had a conversation about it. You know, they want to be left out of the conversations. I'm not going to say who it is, but someone that everyone here knows. And they sort of explained to me that, like, look, like, this is just an online back and forth. This shouldn't affect people's jobs. So the fact that I had, like, tagged Princeton, you know, when I responded to her, I'm like, yeah, that was fucked up. You know, at the end of the day, though, but you guys addressed it as well. I still feel that someone who works for an Ivy League, you know, university like Princeton, because I went to UC Berkeley myself, which is kind of like an Ivy League, you know, in its own right. Like, people of that caliber should be held to a higher standard. So when someone says, you know, and if you look at that whole situation, all I said was the mixed quality of Kendrick's Not Like Us takes away from the song a little bit. His actual engineer later on came forward and said, yeah, Kendrick called me and said, put this out in 30 minutes. And I had to just throw a rough mix together and throw it out. The final mix was actually improved. So all I said was, I didn't say the song was whack. I didn't say it was important. It wasn't important and so forth. I said the mix quality slightly takes away from it. And her response was, you are white. This is black people's business.
A black folk affair.
Black folk affair. And And I'm like, this is a Princeton professor saying this? This is crazy.
I'll tell you what's crazy.
Right.
If you walk into some of these studios, you'd be surprised. Most of these mixers that are mixing these records are white.
Are
people.
white. And look, I didn't
That's the
realize,
truth of the matter.
I also didn't realize at the time, based on her name, that this is Rodney Jerkins' niece. I know Rodney Jerkins. I interviewed him at his home in Hidden Hills. We were maintaining contact. So the first thing that happened, I think maybe a day later, when I apologized and said, listen, I was just trolling. I never called Princeton. I never tried to get her to lose her job. I thought she was trolling me with that comment, so I'm like trolling her back, right? I never did anything to that regard. And last I checked, she's still at Princeton, right? So the first thing Rodney hit me. He's like, hey, man, thank you for not getting my niece fired. And I'm like, I was never going to get her fired. So we got on the phone. And then the first thing I did was like, yo, Rodney, like you're a mega producer. Like my comment about the mix quality is like, let me stop you. He goes, you're absolutely right. The mix quality was bad. So I was a little bit insulted. I'm like, here's a person who is a professor, I think, in literature or something like that, telling me, a DJ, someone who listens to audio every single day because I put out video and audio. Every day I got my headphones on listening to audio. I know what I'm talking about. When I say the audio quality is a little bit off and this person who doesn't know anything about audio tells me to shut the hell up because I'm white.
That's so funny here.
I got kind of insulted. I'm sorry. I thought that was ridiculous.
Oh my God.
And I know Kendrick. We've had conversations together. Like I know TDE. Like I know what I'm talking about. I was like, this is crazy coming from someone who's got Princeton in their profile. But at the end of the day, I didn't want her to lose her job. So let me just apologize for that part of what I said. And she didn't lose her job.
That wasn't a societal issue, though. It was no reason to bring race into that.
Yeah.
No.
It's a song.
It's called They Not Like Us.
Right.
So.
Yeah, look, I just want to say this. Like, you see Kendrick doing his, European tour.
Yeah.
Just a sea of white people.
We went.
A sea of white people.
But even in the U.S., it's a sea of white people.
Yeah, exactly. Like a sea of white people. So they can't comment on it after they bought their tickets.
I'm talking about singing lyrics word for word. All the little white people.
Exactly.
I just thought that was weird for her to bring up race when you were talking about sound quality. But that's because people don't know your background.
Right.
And
I appreciate
you a DJ.
it.
They don't know you was a producer.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think even if she knew
I just want to say this. I appreciate you guys for having my back on that. Like you guys commented on it.
Sense.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
That's just honest.
I was gonna say, even if she knew your background, I think it goes to the thing we were talking about earlier, like people just feeling like you shouldn't be here just because of what they perceive you as because of other stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm here, so
Period.
it is what it is.
Period.
I'm here and I'm not going anywhere.
Do the culture vulture claims even bother you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
What do you think
not at all.
about that, though? Do you ever look at some white people and say, okay, well, that is a culture vulture, but I'm not that?
Well, the dude with the blackface, the guy that did the G Herbo, the Freeman guy. I mean, yeah, if you got blackface, you're a culture vulture. You're interviewing black people, but then you're doing blackface, behind the scenes. So that's disgusting.
I did want to ask you, before you go, what did you think about, and listen, list are just lists, but what did you think about Adam22 not being in there at all?
He should be on there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, for example, I would take Rory Mal off that list and put Adam on that list. Yeah, because if you look at viral moments and so forth, God, remember 4th of July, 4 Extra getting his hand blown off? How do we even know about 4 Extra? Because of No Jumper. That's the only reason we know about him. He's had so many viral moments.
No disrespect, but who was 4 Extra?
It's the
Is that a
guy.
rapper?
You didn't see the video of the guy that was sitting with the fireworks.
I'm saying, what did that have to do with hip hop?
Well, he's a personality that was on No Jumper constantly.
Got you.
And then he lit a firework and it blew off his hand. And I heard it blew off half a guy's face also. It's crazy.
And most of the big U and Rolling 60, all that
was from No Jumper.
Yes, all on No Jumper.
Yeah, it was all Brick Baby was a regular on No Jumper. He was also doing my show as well. No Jumper definitely affects the culture. So to leave him totally off the list, but you put Rory Mal on the list, just doesn't make a lot of sense.
I think Complex has to do a better job, or maybe all of us got to do a better job of defining, I guess, what is culture and what is determined to be, what is considered hip hop media. Because somebody getting a hand blown off from a firecracker don't seem like hip hop media to me. And even the Big U stuff and all of that, that's not hip hop.
Well, some of them guys are rappers though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Extra has a song. He did a song with Kevin Gates.
I guess to me, when I look at it, and I'm not even putting myself in the comments. I look at Gina Views.
You talking about real impact? No shade to No Jumper.
Or Rob Markman. I ain't talking. No, I'm not saying real impact. Adam22 definitely has impact. I'm talking about just people who actually comment on hip hop as we know it. The music, the culture. Rob Markman, Gina Views,
They comment on hip-hop.
Right,
on
but
Adam22
Rob
though. No
Markman,
Jumper.
like, when was the last time something he's done has gone really viral and has really affected the culture like that? I haven't really seen
but he's
very
consistent
much.
with his content.
I know you can be consistent, but if you don't make an impact, you shouldn't be on that list. There's people that are really good at what they do, but if you don't get it out to the masses, if it's not really picked up and it's not moving the needle, then you can't be on that list.
I
Like
think
the
the
black- like-
definition then has to be impact, because when I said that, because I know No Jumper is like a part of the conversation. What I meant is like you're talking about people who like doing like the rap list and the all that.
That talk music. Like
Yeah,
I
that talk
think
but they
Black Boy
talk-
Max is a perfect person to be on there because every time
He's a
I
producer,
see him,
yeah.
he's rapping, he's doing music, he's interviewing artists. Like that's what I'm talking
But
about.
then they also mentioned coverage on the Diddy case, right? It was somebody that did coverage on the Diddy case.
They mentioned
me.
Yeah. But Lauren should have been on that list.
Yeah.
Hands
Especially
down,
when
there's
it
nobody
comes
that
to
covered
that.
more about that case, that did more interviews, that had stations and networks calling her about that.
She was in
I don't
court
know. Vlad
every
interviewed 7
day.
prostitutes.
He got 5 in the possible.
and day 26. So I don't know. Yeah, but no, that girl
And
was
Diddy
in
security
the,
team.
But Lauren was in the court every
that is true.
day. I'm talking about from the time they started to the time they ended. She was breaking it down. She was still keeping up and
was
doing
fighting
this
outside.
and doing, man.
I didn't fight.
Crackheads was walking up on her, Vlad, man. It was like, it was a lot going on. So she should have been on there.
Yeah, I mean, look, like it's all a journey. You know, like some of the stuff that you do will not always be recognized. In the short term and in the long term, if you stay consistent, like, look, this is now 17 years of just YouTube, right? Before that, there was a few years of DVDs.
It's only been 17.
Yeah, 2008. 2008, that's when I launched my channel, to 2025. That's 17 years. Plus, I was doing DVDs, which you were, I was talking to you during that time. as
No,
well.
I was-
YouTube came in
but I was
20
2006.
years.
YouTube came in 2006.
What's that?
When did YouTube like start?
Well, YouTube started a little bit earlier, but in 2008, that's when they introduced the partner program,
Wow.
which actually turned into a real business. So, yeah, I had videos on YouTube before then, but there was just little promo videos, trailers, or whatever else. But in 2008, when you could actually start making money with YouTube, that's when I just saw the vision. I stopped DJing. I stopped doing DVDs. I stopped hustling on the side. It was like, okay, let me just do this, period, and put all my energy into it, because this is about to be the biggest video platform on earth. And I was right.
Yeah.
Yo,
I'm trying
where
to figure
you
out
from?
when we first started doing interviews. That had to be like 08, right?
About that time, yeah. You
Not
were one
on
of
YouTube.
Yeah.
08, 09? Yeah.
And Vlad was
'Cause
doing
we were already friends
It
during
feels
that time.
like y'all were a little bit later now. I don't know
No.
why.
Because I did.
When was Ray
I got
J?
fired from Philly and when I got fired from Philly, I went to Vlad.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy, Vlad, because when I left my job, we talked, or somebody from your team, or I thought, or you, we
Yeah.
talked a bit about me potentially coming over. You be having like an eye early for
Yeah,
things and people.
I tried to.
Where you from, Vlad?
Well, originally I was born in Ukraine, in Kiev. It was part of the USSR at the time. Grew up in Massachusetts for a couple of years, but I really spent most of my time in the Bay Area. So I grew up in San Mateo, and then I went to school in UC Berkeley. So I was in Berkeley and Oakland for about 10 years. Moved to New York, moved to LA.
Got you.
Well, we appreciate you for joining us, brother.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for having me.
How do we know you're not a spy from the Ukraine?
Charlamagne need to come back to Vlad TV, man.
coming.
I hit him up the other day. I'm like, yo,
coming.
it's been 3 years since you did Vlad TV. Because when I did Academics a couple nights ago, he's like, does Charlamagne not rock with you? I'm like, no, we talking, but we just haven't scheduled anything. And that's how I hit him up.
What I told Vlad, and I haven't told you, I wanted all of us to do it.
Yeah, and I said,
Like
let's do
Breakfast
it.
Club do it as
I said,
well.
let's do it. But I'm like,
we all
yo,
did it separately.
it's been 3 years. I've done 2 Breakfast Club appearances and a Brilliant Idiot appearance, and I'm like, come on.
I'm coming.
It's time for you to do Vlad
I'm
TV.
coming. I'm
Man,
coming.
I ain't coming unless I get 40,000 and 30%
40,000,
of the revenue that's coming. Me and my brother Marlon with the same thing.
It's Vlad
No, I'm definitely
TV,
doing it.
DJ Vlad. It's the Breakfast Club.
Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Thank you.
Hold up. Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?